And we welcome you to another edition of This is Wrestling. It is Lee Versage alongside the one and only Hornsey, Zach McGibbon. Zach, I'd ask how you are, but you're busy and you're tired and you're heartbroken. I just don't know what order those are in.
It sounds like the correct order right there. Busy, tired, heartbroken, all jumbled together in this nice little bow on top of it. So yeah, it has been busy for the last little bit, just in terms of hockey and work and all that, and then tired just because of all the work that's happening, but also the heartbrokenness might be what you are soon going to refer to with the Toronto Blue Jays this past weekend.
Well, I think we have to start with that. This isn't a sports podcast, but I just saw that it was the second most watched sporting event ever in the history of this country. When Clement came to bat in the ninth inning, 14 million people in this country were watching the game.
Wow.
And it averaged 10.9 million people throughout the game. And other than the 2010 Winter Olympic gold medal game between Canada and the US, this is now the second most watched sporting event in the history of our country.
Unbelievable.
But very believable, right? With how they captured people's hearts, how I think with the extra layer of playoffs allows more people a little bit more time, the casuals, to get into it. And then as we sit here and tape on a Monday night, I can tell you I'm not over it yet.
Yeah.
And, you know, we often kid around on this show, but the Toronto Blue Jays are one of those teams that, because it's the only team in the country, because of the history, that if you have parents and grandparents and people who watch since 1977, I was at games in the early 80s at Exhibition Stadium. I was at the game in 89 when they won their second pennant. I was also at the game which Jose Canseco hit a fifth deck home run. And I was trying to think, was that 89 or 91? I think, can't remember what year that was because I was there in both. I was in the parade in the Dome where it finished in 92. I was at game 2 of the World Series in 1993. And this team, because of, you know, I think you can talk about this as well, like with the Cowboys, and like you get brought up in environments where your parents, your uncles, your grandparents are sports fans, and whatever teams they cheer for, usually, not always, but usually you're there for those events and you end up following those teams as well. And while that's true for the Cowboys, still a big baseball household. And my grandfather, I have a jacket and a hat that he got in 1977. I love that it looks like a starter jacket, but it's not. Starter wasn't around at that point.
Right.
But it looks like that. And I have it. It's an extra large, and I probably wouldn't model it because it doesn't really fit me all that well. Extra large in 1977, a little bit different than extra large in 2025. But like I hung it around the chair with the hat and almost, you know, had my grandfather with me while I was watching because that's what this team does. I was on FaceTime with my uncle in Game 7 down in Florida, and what it means to people and how close they were with so many different events that happened at the end of Game 6 and then into Game 7. Just don't know. And of course, the 18 inning affair early in the series. I just don't know that I've ever watched a sporting event, Zach, that's ever been like this before. And yes, there was emotional investment. But if you weren't emotionally invested in this series and you were a big baseball fan and you watched as a neutral, how could you not have been pulled in to one of the greatest series ever? And to get that close so many times and almost find a way to lose it, I'm not over it yet. I'm really not. Like it hurts badly to think that you'll never see a team get that close and not win again. And for the Toronto Blue Jays, this isn't the L.A. Dodgers. This isn't the fact that, oh, don't worry, they'll be back next year. It doesn't work like that for teams like Toronto. So to have this shot, to have it be that close, I don't know about you, but you can either go one of two ways. When the game ended, you can either sit there and watch every player interview for 4 hours after the game, or you can turn it off right away. I turned it off right away, and I don't know that I saw Ernie Clement in an interview. That's the only thing I've seen, because I don't have it in me to go back and watch it yet. I don't. I will, but I don't. And I think the point is, and I look forward to hearing your thoughts about this, the point that I'm trying to make really is that in this world of, there's so many sporting events and people have teams and favorite teams and all that stuff. But I don't know that if you were a fan of the Toronto Blue Jays, that you've ever gone on a ride like this in sports, let alone with the Blue Jays. You haven't in 32 years. So I don't know. Have you ever gone through something like that? Like you weren't quite with us, Zach, in the 90s when the Cowboys
No.
and the Blue Jays did all those good things.
Yeah,
So
I wish I was.
yeah, no, and I've often talked about, and this is the part I think that you realize as you get older. But I've talked about this before. I had like the greatest 3 or 4 years of sports in my life in my teens. I was a massive Blue Jays fan. I was a massive Cowboys fan. And I had turned to be a massive New Jersey Devils fan. And in 1991, the Blue Jays won the pennant and then lost to Oakland. In 92, the Blue Jays won the World Series. My first ever being around winning at that point, like a world championship. And what it means to be a fan of a team that wins it all. And then the Cowboys won just a couple months later. They won the Super Bowl. Like officially in 93, but the 92 season.
Yep.
And I'm like, this is the most unbelievable thing ever. And then in 93, the same thing happened. Both teams won the championship again. And then in 94, the Devils got to double overtime of Game 7 to go to the Cup and lost to the Rangers. And then in the strike-shortened year in 95, they swept the heavily favored Detroit Red Wings and won the Stanley Cup. And in those years, I was like 16, 17, 18, and 19. I'm like, this is why we watch sports. My teams are going to win all the time. And guess what, Zach? They don't.
Yeah.
And so to go this long and be that close, it's just heartbreaking. It's literally heartbreaking. And I'm looking forward to hearing sort of your experience, because I'm going to doubt that you've been on a ride like this as a fan.
Oh God, no. Yeah, I've not felt anything like this as at my time as a sports fan. Like you mentioned, I am also a Jays fan. I started getting into baseball, funny enough, a year after the Expos left. In around 2005 was when I really started getting into baseball with the Blue Jays, and been following them since. And I remember the runs in 2014 and 2015, with Jose Bautista's, home run against the Texas Rangers in Game 6, and also the Edwin Encarnacion home run as well. And so those were kind of the memories that stuck for me when it came to baseball. Hockey fan, I'm an Ottawa Sens guy, so I was young when the Senators went to the Stanley Cup in 2006, 2007. I would have been about 9, 10 years old when they went to the Stanley Cup, so I do remember it. And then I was saying recently is like the feeling that I had with the Blue Jays, I've not felt anything like that before. The closest thing that I could feel, and that was more of a localized, just being following your team sort of deal, and it certainly did not capture the heart of a nation like the Blue Jays did. For me, it was that year that the Ottawa Senators went to the Eastern Conference Final, and they lost in double overtime to Pittsburgh, 1 goal away from going to the Stanley Cup, and then Chris Kunitz scored in double overtime. So that was the closest for me of like heartbreak. But even then, when you watch those games, like especially in that final game, like it just felt like Ottawa was losing steam. They were running out of gas, and it was only a matter of time before Pittsburgh would kill them off. In this case with the Blue Jays, they were 2 outs away from winning the whole thing. The top of the 9th, Hoffman's in there. He strikes out the man, and I'm thinking, oh, here we go. Like we're 2 outs away. We're so close. We're gonna win this thing. And then Rojas hits that home run, and just and it goes to the extra innings, and then everything that happened afterwards, with IKF being just short of sliding into base, and you could even go back further the series if you like with Game 6 with the lodged ball stuff that happened from the Barger hit. There's so many things that you can recall with that Blue Jays team throughout that series, but in the end, I had not felt that sort of heartbreak with a sports team ever, because it was just so close, and the fact that they were there. And there was a point during it where I felt like the Jays were the better team in that Game 7. They just weren't able to capitalize and take advantage of the runners in scoring position. So I'm still not over it. I think it's going to take a while for me to be over it or move on from it. Because it's still, like you, Lee, once the game was over, I just turned it off. I did not want to see the Dodgers celebrate. I did not want to listen to the post-game interviews or anything like that. Now, in my crazy news world job, I did have to see the interviews afterwards, just from, going through on looking through news sources and all that. So I saw that Ernie Clement clip, like you mentioned. I did see the clips from the Dodgers as well. I did see their parade today. And so it's still something that I had not felt before, being a part. It really felt like it was something that united a lot of the nation, just all these people coming together cheering for the Blue Jays. And like what you mentioned, when it's the only baseball team in Canada, that makes that a lot easier for fans to kind of come in, because with other sports, like especially hockey, hockey has all these Canadian teams. It's very tough for one Canadian team to sort of unite everybody for a Stanley Cup. So this Blue Jays squad was it was such a fun ride. And even, throughout the series, going in, I was thinking, it's going to be tough. The Dodgers are just this otherworldly team. They've got all these great players and this unbelievable starting pitching staff. And, their relievers aren't great, but boy, they've got everything else down packed. And to see that series go to 7 was just, I thought they were going to win it in Game 6 when they came back to Toronto, but to see it go to 7 and see how close they were, it's still something that hasn't settled in for me as a fan. This is very much the closest to feeling the rise and the success of a team. And it's funny because, with the Raptors, you kind of have something similar where you have the lone basketball team in Canada, and they're able to unite people in the country. And I definitely got a good feeling from winning from that. But for something about this Jays team that really got me hooked in and latched on to what they were doing, whether it just be the players or just the way that they were winning ball games and the stuff that was going against them really throughout the year, I don't think a lot of players and teams and fans had them going this far throughout the season. So I think there was that extra added emotional attachment for me as somebody that had been following the Jays, and I've been more of an on and off fan of the Raptors throughout the last couple of years. So yeah, this was it's still heartbreaking. I still have a hard time whenever it pops up, that final double play where Kirk had his bat break on that double play. I still try and scroll through and not see it again whenever it pops up on my timeline on social media. And it's going to be a while before it could fully settle in that it's over and the Jays did not win the World Series.
Well, I think there is, the juxtaposition too of they didn't lose to another team that had a whole country pulling for them, that was uniting a whole country. Like, it'd be one thing, they say it's a World Series, but there's only teams in
two countries.
two countries. But like, you can only imagine that when they play the World Baseball Classic, or if that were like, let's just say that San Juan, Puerto Rico was the team in the final against Toronto, and you have a whole country. Yeah, Puerto Rico is not near the size of Canada, but you know what I mean.
Yep.
Like a whole country pulling, that's uniting an entire country during that time. The Dodgers are a great team, but they didn't unite the United States. They didn't bring the country together. They won last year. They've won 3 times in 6 years. And they have the greatest players on the planet. This was a team of like Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and you want to put Bo Bichette in there, but I mean, you can if you want. But really, just you think of this team and you're going to remember Ernie Clement and Nathan Lucas.
Yep. George Springer.
And Springer and Jimenez and and especially Alejandro Kirk. Like, all of these guys that are good ball players, but they're not Ohtani, and they're not Mookie Betts, and they're not Freddie Freeman, and they're not all of these top players. And you can probably speak to this a little bit, in the political climate that we're in, something that can bring, this is what I'm most disappointed about, is that sports has this unbelievable ability to unite and bring people together and forget some of the bad things that are going on. And that happened in our country in the last few weeks. It didn't happen south of the border. It didn't happen anywhere else, but it happened here. And it reminded me, as this series was going on, especially the heartbreak at the end, that what sport can do. It can bring people together. It can break your heart at the same time. And I think that's what I was as disappointed about. Like, I thought back to, my family members, but you think about all of the people in this country that it would have brought together, what the parade would have been like, what the next couple of weeks would have been like. And to get so close to that and it not to happen. And you keep reading, right, that heartbreak is a good thing because it means you care that much. I'm finding that hard, Zach, right now.
I know.
Heartbreak is such a good thing.
Yeah.
Because it means that you care. But I am proud of the fact that the team wasn't, like, in 93, they won the World Series, and they had won in 92. And I don't want to say it's the same with the Dodgers, who have gone back to back here, but in 93, or 92, sorry, they were really good. And what happened in 93 is, like, they're like, well, we want to stay good. We want to try and win another championship. And all of a sudden they brought in Paul Molitor and they brought in Ricky Henderson, and they added to the team, and they already had, Carter and Alomar and Borders, and like they had all these great people. And that's what the Dodgers, like, they They add. And that's what the Jays did. And it doesn't take away because you always remember Joe Carter's home run, but this was not a team of superstars. This was Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and some decent pitching and a bunch of guys who came together at the right time. And for that team to not win is really difficult. And that's what I have kind of the biggest issue with, because it's not like, I mean, I stand to be corrected and I would love for it to happen, but if you think that Lucas and Jimenez and Kirk and Clement and all of these guys are just going to come back and everything's going to happen the same again, yeah, I'm telling you, it ain't.
Yeah.
And that's the hard thing. Kind of like, I think, the same feelings as you probably had when CM Punk won the World Heavyweight Championship. Probably those two things were on the same level, right? I mean, you didn't get the Jays winning, but you got on the same night CM Punk winning the World Heavyweight Championship over Jey Uso.
Who was able to wipe away tears when that happened. Oh, yeah. It was great.
So Saturday night's main event. Let's talk about the in-ring first. There was 4 title matches.
Yes.
On this card, 1 championship changed hands.
2, if you include Jade Cargill.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
You know what? I already skipped by CM Punk and was thinking of Jade Cargill when I said that. And I'm like, oh yeah, Punk won too. Yeah. I just said that.
I guess that's technically a guaranteed world title change. So
that's right.
Yeah.
So what did you like? For me, if you're gonna put a Saturday night's main event, you're gonna have 4 title matches and 2 significant title changes. I would think that would be a big deal, a big card, a big thing that people are talking about. And I don't really find that. But maybe I'm wrong. I know you watched the whole thing.
I did. I watched the whole thing. I watched it after the Jays stuff. And I was like, let's lighten up the mood with some WWE Saturday night's main events and see what happened during that show. And I will say this. I will appreciate the fact that there was barely, if any, run-ins or gimmicks or anything like that. As far as I could recall, there was pretty much all just straightforward professional wrestling where people won their matches. And you know what? I could appreciate that at WWE because you know that they had the urge to try and get one run-in on the show. There's like, will the fans be able to stay invested through 4 matches with straight finishes? But they decided to stick through and have all be straightforward professional wrestling matches. So I could appreciate that WWE went there, because I would just come on here, just be like, and the run-in happened here, and oh boy, you're not going to believe it, another run-in happened, and then people were going, oh, there's another run-in. So we didn't get that. In terms of the show itself, I thought it was pretty bog standard. I wasn't blown away by it. I didn't hate it. I saw a lot of hatred for the show. I think it just kind of stems to what happened in the main event and how a certain wrestler in the main event looked in that main event. So I think that's where you're seeing some people kind of being down on this show. A lot of the matches, again, were just kind of bog standard for me. Nothing really blow away. So it was kind of a show that I watched, really. That's all I can really come away with when it comes to a review of the show.
All right, so let's talk about CM Punk winning the world title.
Yep.
I didn't think it was going to happen. I thought there would be some sort of schmoz, for lack of a better word, would maybe the title be held up. I did not think they were just going to go straight CM Punk beating Jey Uso and winning the world heavyweight title. It feels underwhelming to me that CM Punk beat Jey Uso, the world heavyweight championship in the WWE. I feel like this should be a bigger moment. with CM Punk winning a world title. I feel underwhelmed. Do you?
Yeah, I do too. Felt underwhelming, and I think that just stems back to the match itself, where it just kind of felt underwhelming. Yeah, you just kind of see these two, and boy, like we've been critical of Jey Uso, rightfully, for how he's looked throughout this year and some of the, the effort he's put into his performances. But boy, did I think he was really, he just seemed gassed from the moment he got into the ring against Punk. And you could tell Punk was trying to get a bunch out of him in terms of trying to get something going. And there was the spot where, I don't know how you could screw up this spot, Lee, but they were trying to do that rolling neck breaker there. And
yes, we've seen it all. Go ahead.
Somehow Uso over-rotated on the neck breaker and turned it into like a cutter, I guess, and it went face first into the mat. And then for a guy who preaches about how much he loves Bret Hart, he had his best Shawn Michaels impression by giving a kick afterwards. After he the botch of the neck breaker.
Do you think that was real?
Oh yeah, I think that was a bit of a receipt. That's with CM Punk, absolutely. I think that was real. That was a bit of a receipt. That man is not exactly known to keep cool when things go wrong. So yeah, I think that was a bit of a receipt.
Was it justified?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it was. That's a pretty basic move to screw up. And I also thought it was weird, that spot where he was pouring the water all over Jey Uso.
Yeah.
It was a bit of a weird spot. And then after what we saw throughout the match, like, oh, maybe he's trying to actually wake him up and try and get something out of him and try and get something going. I thought Jey Uso, he just looked like he's not been a good singles wrestler dating back all the way last year to his match with his brother Jimmy at WrestleMania, where he's just looked just not a good singles wrestler. And he looked especially sluggish here in this match. I thought Punk was trying to do his best, but he wasn't exactly, Mitsuharu Misawa out there either, where he was just having these, that spear he delivered in that match too was not his greatest spear, but considering what we saw earlier, that was kind of a Goldberg-like spear, comparatively speaking. But yeah, this was, from a wrestling standpoint, it was very sluggish out there, to say the least.
All right, so you mentioned Jade Cargill beats Tiffany Stratton.
Yes.
And is the new, I don't know what her title's called, but new women's world champion on SmackDown.
Correct.
Whatever it's called.
Yes.
Is this, I did not like this match.
Yeah, me
I
neither.
don't like Jade Cargill. I think Tiffany is okay when she's in there with someone who can really go. Jade is not that person. So to me, Jade's not very good, and Tiffany doesn't have the level to bring others up. And I thought it brought her down in this match. I did not like this match. But is it the right move to have Jade Cargill win?
I think at this point, if you're the WWE, you've already invested a lot in her in terms of trying to get her to a point, whether it be in-ring or a character presentation. She's now a few years in with WWE. I think at this point, they're looking to see what they've got with her on a title run. And I don't think there's going to be much that she could show for. I think she is who she is. I think it's good in terms of a change of pace for the title picture to have somebody different in there, because I don't think this has been a strong run for Tiffany Stratton. And there's a lot of factors that play into that, whether it be, is she truly ready for that spot? Her current iteration as a babyface when she really should be a heel. She's much more a natural heel. There's a lot of elements that go into play in that, but at the end of the day, I think the title needed to go a different direction. Is Jade Cargill that right direction? I don't think so. But if I'm WWE, I think I'm just looking at it as a test to see, okay, we've invested this with her. We had her in these programs, and now it's a chance to see what she could do with the title. We saw what she was able to do in AEW with the TBS championship and how they really, with the benefit of hindsight, protected her in a lot of scenarios and how they booked her matches. And so now this is an opportunity with the more, I would say, a more legit title in the women's title to see what she could do, is she can, up her charisma and show that she can have that champion energy. Again, I'm not as confident in that though, and how that will roll. They would have to book her a certain way, and WWE is very stubborn in how they do their house style of match. So they'll shorten a match, but in terms of like trying to get people over or trying to do a certain style, they always have the same. It's hard to describe, but when you've seen so many WWE matches, all I can really say is the WWE house style of match, and they seem so determined to try and have Jade Cargill do that. So we'll see. We'll see how this run goes.
You must have been happy with my man Dom Dom.
Oh, yes, he's got the Mega Championship on top of the Intercontinental Championship.
He's ringing the bell.
Yeah.
Two noteworthy challengers in Rusev and Penta could not get the job done.
Yeah.
Against Dominic Mysterio.
Yeah.
Okay, so is it me that I just like Dominic, that I didn't think that this was... I mean, I didn't think it was horrible for the WWE style, as you mentioned.
Yep.
Because a lot of this style, it's so predictable. So then when it becomes that predictable, I try and look a little bit at the character work that people are giving us instead of the match quality.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yep, absolutely.
Because I know what the match quality is going to be. It's not going to be great. And that's just the way that it is. Dominic's going to be a really good babyface. Because he is going to be a babyface, is he not?
I think that's where this path is leading down, yes.
Or did they just leave him as a dastardly babyface? Like, we know everyone's going to cheer for him anyway.
Sort of like a tweener?
Or does he become... See, he's certainly on the path of Eddie Guerrero, isn't he?
Yep.
Where Eddie Guerrero... Not that Dominic can hold a candle to him in the ring. I was
just going to say, wrestling ability is a little lacking there. But
my point would be is that Eddie Guerrero was the lying, cheating, stealing good guy. Right? Like, people loved when he would like throw the title at someone, pretend to be knocked out, and get them disqualified. Like, he would do all of these great things that were so likable, even though he was lying and cheating and stealing. And it feels like Dominic is going down that road to me, which isn't a bad thing. Again, maybe it's because the rest of the product's not very good. I didn't hate this match.
No, I didn't either.
And my man won.
It's pretty clear, though, that they're trying to protect him in terms of the actual wrestling portions, because he was in that four-way to win the Intercontinental Championship. And then he had the singles program with AJ Styles. And if you're not going to do well against AJ Styles, you shouldn't be pushed. And now he's in a triple threat with Penta and Rusev to kind of protect himself even more. So you could tell they're still feeling like, oh, he's a little bit more smoke and mirrors and whatnot. I know he's done some singles programs for AAA, but it's AAA. So in terms of the actual WWE product, they don't really have him out there in a lot of singles matches too often. When they do, it's very, very smoke and mirrors when they do. So it's interesting how they continue to protect him in that instance.
What match am I forgetting other than Cody Drew?
Nope, that's it. It's 4 matches. Unless you were somehow able to get a copy of Bayley versus Raquel Rodriguez in the dark match.
No, I was not.
No.
I'm running out of verbiage for Drew McIntyre.
Yep.
It's like...
You're not going to believe it, Lee, but somehow, some way, he loses again in a prominent title match.
No.
What?
We need to come up with Drew's record in prominent title matches.
Oh.
Not very good.
No. It's been a tough run for the Scottish Warrior.
It has.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same thing. Cody teasing to be a heel and doing some bad things, but keeping the championship, and it's put off as like he's doing what he has to do to win. I don't understand going down the road that they are, but I didn't like anything about this match.
No.
How about that? Nothing.
Wow, nothing.
No.
Zilch, nada.
No, because I had the gut feeling of what was going to happen, and then when it happened, I'm like, no, that's it. I just no, nothing.
You've seen this song and dance before multiple times.
Yes, I unfortunately have.
Sometimes literally when it comes to dance, but yeah, Drew McIntyre is just. I don't know how much you could only do this so many times with a guy before fans just lose faith in him. And even if he wins eventually, if he wins at this point, it's like, oh, well, he won, but he lost 17,000 times beforehand.
And you know what he is? He is like, if he wins, and it's an if, he'll be the Atlanta Braves.
Yes.
Because you know what they always said about the Atlanta Braves? They're the greatest team, and they only won once.
Yep.
And it was a negative thing. It was like, they've been in the playoffs 14 straight times. They've only won once. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
They don't get credit for winning the one time. They get, as you said, it's exactly the same. And I just don't like, it's just so frustrating to me.
Yeah.
So I think some of the bigger picture stuff, though, is with the WWE, that first of all, they had their lowest SmackDown attendance ever.
I don't think it was ever, but it was definitely a while.
I should know that. I know it's about 4,500.
Yeah.
And to not equate that to the ticket prices that have been soaring, like this isn't an apathy thing that fans just don't want to go. This is a direct correlation to how high the ticket prices have been.
Mm-hmm.
No?
Oh, definitely. I think there's definitely a correlation to that. And you could also, if you want to go back to Saturday night's main event as well, there was also a report that executives were not happy with the turnout for that show either, as they had about 7,800 tickets out there for that show. And usually they average about 10, 11, 12,000 for bigger events like Saturday night's main event or a PLE.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't sell out.
Yeah.
And that's crazy with 4 title matches on.
Yeah.
So it was 4,200. It was the lowest in over 4 years for SmackDown. And as you mentioned, about just less than 2,000 tickets available for Saturday night's main event with 4 title matches on it.
Yep.
Like CM Punk winning the world heavyweight title. And people knew that, I mean, I guess they pretty much knew that Jey Uso wasn't winning.
Yeah.
So there was a chance that Punk would win. And I think the other thing, Zach, is that there were 57,000 people in the waiting room to buy tickets to John Cena's last match.
Mm-hmm.
And that has not sold out yet. There's still a few thousand tickets left for that because the prices are so high. What do you make of this tournament?
Interesting concept. I think I think they're doing this because, you're talking about ticket sales, television ratings, specifically the Netflix viewership that we've at least seen, the data that's available hasn't been as good either. So I think this is also a grab to try and get some people tuning in each week to see who's going to be the person that will face off against John Cena in his retirement match. So I think that's also kind of a factor in that, and try and create some buzz and interest into the retirement match of John Cena. I saw that they mentioned like anybody could show up, even people that aren't in the company has the potential to take part in this tournament. Now, I've seen some names thrown around like Adam Copeland being thrown into this tournament, who is still under contract to AEW, so that's not going to happen. Or Chris Jericho could potentially be part of this tournament and be the final opponent for John Cena. The problem is he is also under contract to AEW until the end of December, and John Cena's retirement match is on the 13th, so that is also very likely not going to happen. So get excitedly when Joe Hendry competes in the tournament to be the final opponent for John Cena. Look, he's not in WWE technically. He's a TNA guy. He could compete. And look, I've seen people say, why not Joe Hendry, right? Why not Joe Hendry? He was the face of TNA last year, going against the face of WWE. Say his name and he appears, Lee. Do you believe in Joe Hendry as the potential opponent for John Cena in the retirement match?
Sorry, I stopped listening to you about a minute ago.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm going to take it as a
It's a-
no.
it's a 16-man tournament.
Yeah.
Obviously, you still think Gunther's going to win?
Yeah, I do. I know you were throwing out The Rock. I assume that has changed since this tournament has been announced, but it would be hilarious to see The Rock try and run through the gauntlet to try and get to be John Cena's last opponent. He has to outlast L.A. Knight in a one-on-one match on SmackDown or whatever. Try and be the final opponent.
So
for
it
John
has
Cena.
changed. It
Yeah.
has changed with a 16-man tournament. But I wouldn't put it past The Rock to do a good Triple H, Stephanie come in after the tournament is over and say, no. I'm going to be the person. So the fact that it's a tournament to me kind of, I don't know, I don't like it because like I understand the concept of it, but now I'm going to have to watch someone win 4 times for the right to face him.
Yep.
Like this thing starts in like a week and a half, 2 weeks. The tournament, right?
Yep.
So everyone's saying it's Adam Copeland and Chris Jericho. These guys aren't coming in
No.
2 weeks
No.
or 3 weeks. The Rock's not wrestling 4 times. Who else could it be? Who do you think has the possibility of being in the final?
Other
Because you
than
look-
Gunther?
No, yeah, like let's look at the final 4 then.
Yep.
And go, okay, hopefully at some point, because in a round of 16 tournament, you're going to look at these matches and go, this guy's got no chance. So who is in there that you think, if there is a final 4, give me 4 people that legitimately, okay, there's at least an argument that they could be in that match.
I mean, I know he just lost, but if you need somebody to fill with some name power, Drew McIntyre, I guess, is a guy that could be in that final 4.
Is it possible that Drew McIntyre could win this tournament, be in the John Cena match, and for all of the crap that he's gone through, would it even make you feel better if The Rock came down and said, I'm the one who chose Drew McIntyre before, and then Drew McIntyre goes over on John Cena?
That would be interesting to me. That would be.
Because The Rock has been outwardly praising Drew McIntyre, right? Like last year, 2 years ago, even back to like 2019. And at least to me, it would make sense for all the losing that Drew McIntyre has done. And he's looked like an idiot, quite frankly. Wouldn't that change it? If he won the tournament, goes in, he's lost to Cody Rhodes all these times, and now he goes in, he beats John Cena with the help of The Rock, and The Rock says, he's my corporate champion. He's the guy that I want at the top.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just looking for something.
Yeah.
Because I don't, you're right. You mentioned Drew McIntyre. I'm like, that's the only way that I could see. It would make me forget about the bad losses. That's all.
Yeah, for sure. How is Rey Mysterio is hurt, right? Like he's out, so he couldn't take part. Like that would be another name if you just wanted to go full nostalgia and have a name from the past be a part of it. What about Dominic? Would it be that crazy that Dominic Mysterio would be seen as the final opponent?
It wouldn't be crazy if Cena really wants to put somebody over.
Yep.
Because I'm going to think that Cena wants to put somebody over. So who's that going to be? That's the question, right? And we're trying to come up with names that person could take another major step forward. It's not crazy at all, because if Dominic went in there and Dominic beat him, and Dominic was the Intercontinental Champion, and the AAA Mega Champion, and then he ends up beating John Cena. He's gonna rocket to the top of the WWE. So that's not crazy at all. I actually think Dominic will make the Final Four.
Mm-hmm.
I actually think Drew McIntyre and Gunther are going to be there as well. Are you really going to put Joe Henry in there?
I wouldn't rule it out. I'm not saying it's happening, but I wouldn't rule it out.
But okay, well then who's in your Final Four?
I would look at a Rusev potentially, just because they do have a background. They had the match at Mania, and I think Rusev could be somebody in your Final Four.
They could legitimately win though. Like I with a Final Four, I would like to think that any one of those four could win the tournament and go on to face John Cena.
Mm-hmm. Would the Miz be somebody for you?
For me, it would.
Yeah.
For many, it wouldn't.
Yeah.
But for me, it absolutely would. But I don't think you need to put the Miz over. I don't think the Miz can go places after he beats John Cena. That falls back into the nostalgia part. What about Braun Breaker?
I would like Braun Breaker for sure.
I could see him being in the Final Four.
Yep. That's certainly possible.
Brock Lesnar?
Would Brock be doing multiple matches in a tournament? Otherwise, wouldn't disagree.
Well, he's in the promo for WrestleMania 42.
Oh, don't even get me started on that poster, Lee, of WrestleMania 42. Front and center. Old Paul Levesque. Playing the game, Lee. Playing the game. You get it? He's dealing the cards because he's the mastermind behind it all.
Yeah.
By the way, if you actually look at that poster, they all have poker chips, but they have no cards. Like, it's all just poker chips. Where are the cards? Why are they all just throwing poker chips in there? Aren't they supposed to be playing cards?
Well, if you want to look at it really detailed, there's nobody sitting at the dealer position.
Yeah. So,
well, what do you mean? Doesn't that seem like somebody is going to come in and be the dealer?
Would it not be Triple H being a dealer?
I don't think so.
No?
He was in the poster. No, he wasn't sitting at the dealer position.
That's true. He was standing and leaning on the table. Again, front and center in that poster.
Did you see the vignette?
I did see the vignette with the people walking.
No, but yeah, but did you see the promo for WrestleMania 42 when they're all standing there and they're like, you know, even the greatest have tells and
yeah.
It was interesting because I think it possibly could be storyline. I thought it was interesting that Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar were side by side.
Yeah. The two Pauls. Masterminds.
Yeah, and I noticed that there wasn't anybody at the dealer position. And it felt like somebody else could sit there.
Yeah. Could it be The Rock?
Could it be The Rock?
Could it be The Rock be the dealer?
Yeah.
He goes from the final boss to what would be The Rock's like card dealing name? That's my question.
Oh boy.
I'll just say this with the promo. I just looked at it as a promo. Like, I think people are just analyzing it because the product is so weak right now. And they're trying to like get anything to latch on to get fired up for something. But thankfully, our Lord and Savior, Paul Levesque, will help us and guide us through to WrestleMania season. So looking forward to that.
Zachary.
What? I'm just saying, that's what the message they want to convey. It's like, all right, it's time to play the game, Lee. Let's play the game. Let's see what's happening. It's a WrestleMania 42.
Okay. I think with all the people, because I heard some criticism that there are no females in the poster.
Yeah, that's true. No Rhea Ripley. I think it is kind of surprising there's no Rhea in there.
But does that not tell you that that's a storyline? You got Brock, you got Roman, you got Cody, you got Punk, you got Triple H, Paul Heyman. Doesn't it feel like that's a storyline? Because then why wouldn't you have Rhea Ripley? She's as or more famous than almost anybody in the company.
Mm-hmm.
You have a huge women's division. But the females not to be involved in that feels like that was more of a storyline thing than it was a, hey, we're just going to include everyone in a WrestleMania 42 promo. I don't know. It felt like it to me. Do you have anything else on WWE before I go to AEW here?
No, not too much else. Just, just the tournament is happening, which is somewhat interesting in terms of who's going to be announced and who's going to make their way through and whatnot. But otherwise, this is just a company it feels like they're kind of spinning right now, and they need to create some new stars pretty quickly here if they want to try and continue their momentum.
Mm-hmm.
Because right now it feels like we're on the tail end. We're on the downswing of the popularity, and now you're starting to see it reflected some ticket sales here. And the ticket sales, obviously, there are other factors that too. But in terms of an overall popularity and demand, it feels like we're on the downswing of this. And so they need to create some new stars, and hopefully it is Braun Breaker that's in there. Let's commit to a push here. Let's see what we got and whatnot. But there's also a part of me that's like, with the John Cena stuff, it's probably going to be some sort of nostalgia run pick, or Gunter. So we'll see.
Okay, so AEW last week on Dynamite. Zach, I just can't. I'm having a hard time because I don't like the main event, the 4-way. I think we talked about it before, but I just don't even understand how guys got in this match for the shot at the championship at the pay-per-view.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how did Hook get in there? How did Ricochet get in there? 3 guys in trios, all that stuff. Match was going along okay for a fatal 4-way. And all of a sudden, Joe goes over and he takes the muscle buster and he's going to do it. And he waited. And he waited. And he waited. It's like, what's he waiting for? Oh, you know when Lashley hits you with his right arm barely in the spear?
Yep.
He was waiting for that.
Yeah.
Like, god awful spear.
What was better, the Lashley spear or the CM Punk spear?
Yeah, they're both pretty bad. The Lashley one's awful.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's awful because he's such a big man and could destroy you with a spear.
Yeah.
And I don't know why they even don't try to do it a little bit more, but he just backs off. And then one of my favorite things that I've ever seen is Bobby Lashley getting there too early to the top when Joe doesn't even really have Hook in the clutch yet. And he's supposed to not get there in time, but he's too early. And so there he is, just standing on the outside of the ring with a gas look on his face, and then goes into the ring after Hook taps. Oh my God, Zach. Like, it was awful. And then I don't know, like, we get our super fan and he's telling me that nobody saw the Hangman Page part coming, dressed as Tony Schiavone. And I'm like, so did I see him being dressed as Tony Schiavone coming?
No.
But all of a sudden, Joe's in the ring. Then his guys come out. It's the main event. Like, it's 9:58. His guys come out, and they're just standing there. And then we're going to have a celebration. Why? Just another match. Then the people in the costumes get in the ring, and you know Hangman's not one of them.
Yeah.
You already know that. And then they go over and they beat up some guys and they take off one of the like the heads of it, and it's not Hangman. So did I see him? Did I say it before the match? Like Hangman's coming in as Tony Schiavone? No, but the entire time after Joe won, a terrible main event, terrible. Then the guys in the costumes, I'm like, this is just going to end so badly. And I know Hangman's not in one of those. So then obviously he's going to come from somewhere else. And I keep getting told, well, nobody saw him coming in as Tony Schiavone. Oh, okay. Because if you didn't think Hangman was coming in at the end there, then you've never watched wrestling in your life.
Right.
So I hated every single thing about this. Did it look cool that Hangman was dressed as Schiavone? Sure. But it had been so bad up until that point that it was just mind-bogglingly bad. So that's my bad take. My good take is that replacing Penelope Ford with Marina Shafir, all of a sudden they're the team to beat. Marina Shafir and Megan Bayne in the women's tag title tournament. I love it. Love it. And Moxley comes by and he's like, yeah, this should be fun.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
Like simple, but good.
Yeah. See, that's good comedy in pro wrestling.
Yes.
Mox has got good comedic timing, which unfortunately Vince McMahon also figured that out and decided let's have him dress up as a hot dog vendor when he was in WWE.
Yeah.
But Mox has got good comedic timing, and this was a good funny little segment.
And I like the team. It's if you're a fan, whether they win or lose, I'm now intrigued with that team. Which I'm not intrigued with all the teams.
Yeah.
So I think that's good.
Yep.
What'd you think of the main event of Dynamite and Joe winning and the schmoz after?
Yeah, the angle afterwards is not for me. I hear it all the time. Well, Lee, you see, it's Halloween, so you have to do. Yeah,
it's Fright Night.
It's Fright Night. You have to do something. Lee, you have to do something like this.
Yeah,
you have to, because it's pro wrestling. So you have to. I didn't realize that Tony Khan, like in that writer's room, had a gun to his head saying, you need to make a fun Halloween type segment because it's the Fright Night Dynamite. And so we need costumes. We need the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man to return. We need Hangman Page to dress up as Tony Schiavone. You know, Tony Schiavone also being in on the gimmick, I guess, because he was also talking over the arena and Hangman was impersonating that it was him talking, all this stuff. Not for me, I will say that in my pro wrestling. Save that for the other guys, I personally say, but that is what pro wrestling is to a lot of people, I guess. So who am I to know? Yeah, the match itself didn't really do much for me. This Fright Night Dynamite really didn't do much for me either. Although there were elements of it I liked. I was enjoying the Hangman and Joe stuff. This angle doesn't like deter that for me or anything like that. But it's like, oh, I guess we're just gonna do the comedy stuff, I guess, for this. I would have liked to have kind of gotten away from that a little bit with this program. Didn't feel like it was the right energy personally, but I could deal with it for 1 week. And the match itself was, what it was. I do want to mention something earlier on. You were mentioning Jon Moxley earlier. So this is one of the rare times that I really liked the finish where it was a double count out technically, but what Moxley did to get into Kyle O'Reilly's face and all that, I actually kind of liked that finish because it showed the cowardly nature of Jon Moxley to DQ himself like that and tell the story. You don't have to do this all the time, but I thought it worked well for what they were trying to accomplish against O'Reilly. And yeah, so I enjoyed that. I like the stuff that they're doing with Takeshita and Okada, all the stuff with the Don Callis family. So there are things that I like, but this was not one of those blow away dynamites for me.
Would you make it the Summit?
The Summit with the painting being revealed, another painting for Don Callis, as it was the council of the Don Callis family, really.
He's a fairly entertaining guy.
Oh yeah.
I didn't mind the summit. I thought it was another way to get into like where they're trying to go, and especially with people who don't like the challenge when I'm watching this is you're trying to create an environment to pit Takeshita against Okada within the family, and both of them don't speak English very
Yep.
well.
Yep.
That's a hard thing to do. And I thought that they did it fairly effectively. You know, getting other guys out there to talk, and my man Ricky Romero. No, it's not Ricky Romero, but
Ricky Marrero. Well, that early 2010s Toronto Blue Jays
Yes,
mentioned.
that's
Very
right.
nice. Almost pitched
but-
that perfect game, I recall.
yeah, and it's been less than perfect since then.
Yeah.
But you know, Josh Alexander talking, and of course Kyle Fletcher. I didn't mind how they went about this.
Yep.
And Takeshita comes out and finally gives his hand. You can tell he doesn't want to, but he finally does. And then Okada gives him the finger. I just thought it was well done with a strategy of we're pitting two guys against each other, and you're not going to hear from either of them.
Yep.
So that's not an easy concept to get them both over when you're not going to hear from either of them. And I thought that was decent. And it's one thing I am looking forward to, right? They've built that properly where I am looking forward to seeing Okada and Takeshita finally fight. That's probably about it, Zach.
Yeah. I think so.
For a lot of us, and by a lot of us, I mean both of us, the Cowboys are going to be on soon. So it's another chance to go watch a sports team lose. So I think you and I will take advantage of that here on a Monday night, but always good to be able to talk to you again. And I think as we're sitting here, Monday Night Raw has just started. It should be an interesting one with the landscape quotes from Triple H. Probably Jey Uso turns heel. I think there will be some things happening on Monday Night Raw this week. So hopefully some things to talk about in a positive way. But we'll see. And
Yep.
then again, as it's just this waiting period in AEW with the top stars out to see if they can put together, you know, enough entertaining stuff so that we can watch and not be overly critical. But you're just hoping. I saw the reports that, you know, Will Ospreay's back to rehabbing, which is good.
Hmm.
Still probably a long way away. I saw some reports he's going to be back in January. It's like he's not going to be back in January.
Yeah.
But at least he's back rehabbing and the surgery went well. But, you know, MJF still filming and Swerve still hurts. And
Boy, we
Omega
could use some
still-
star power right now. It's
Oh, my
all I'm
God.
hearing. It's like, oh, geez, we need some star power badly.
Well, they're going back with Hangman Joe again. I'm not into it as much as you are. They're going back with Fletcher and Briscoe again.
Yeah.
Like, they're just doing the same things over and over, trying to wait out, I guess, some of the injuries that have happened. But it does feel like this huge waiting period in both the WWE and AEW right now. So, as wrestling fans, we are very much hoping that those things change, and this tournament should bring some intrigue with John Cena. So we'll have that be the last thought. Always great to talk to you, Zach, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
For Zach McGibbon, I'm Lee Versage. Thanks again for listening to another edition of This Is Wrestling.